Most people start their wealth journey with hope. They read books, they watch videos, they open their first investment account. But years later, most still have nothing to show for it. They've worked hard, they've saved what they could, and yet they never cross that first real milestone, $100,000. It's not because they're lazy, it's not because they don't earn enough. It's because the real enemy isn't math, it's mindset. The truth is, building wealth has very little to do with numbers. It's a psychological war between your habits, your emotions, and your patience. And if you don't understand how that war works, you'll stay stuck, no matter how hard you try. Everyone starts strong. You make a plan, cut expenses, cancel subscriptions, and promise yourself this time will be different. You track every dollar, avoid temptations, and feel like you're finally in control of your life. And for a few months, everything seems to work. Your account grows, the numbers move in the right direction, and you start to believe you've cracked the code. You tell yourself, this is it, the beginning of something real. But then, life happens. A car repair, a birthday gift, a short trip you convince yourself you deserve. One expense leads to another, and before you know it, the balance that once made you proud slowly disappears. You feel frustrated, maybe even ashamed. But deep down, you tell yourself, it's temporary. You'll start again next month. And you do. Over and over. This is the cycle most people never escape. The illusion of progress. Because they confuse activity with advancement. They believe that moving money around, saving a few $100s, or making a single investment means they're building wealth. But most of it is just maintenance. It's survival disguised as growth. Real progress only begins when your money starts working without you. When it earns while you sleep, grows while you live, and continues even when your focus drifts elsewhere. But reaching that stage requires something far more difficult than effort. It requires endurance. The ability to stay consistent long after the excitement fades. And that's where most people fail. They chase the temporary feeling of control, not the quiet discipline that builds it. So they keep resetting their progress again and again, without realizing they've been running in circles all along. Motivation feels powerful at the beginning. It gives you energy, focus, and the illusion that this time will finally be different. You watch videos, read quotes, and feel unstoppable for a moment. You imagine your future self, calm and financially free, and it feels close enough to touch. But motivation burns hot and fast. Within weeks, it fades. Reality starts pulling you back to old patterns, and the same routines you swore you'd outgrow slowly return. You skip a transfer, delay an investment, buy something small just this once. And just like that, the momentum disappears. Why does it always happen this way? Because motivation depends on emotion, and emotion never stays still. A bad week, a dip in the market, a friend posting a vacation, all it takes is one moment of doubt to destroy weeks of progress. The mind that once felt determined now feels tired and unsure. That's why motivation alone can't take you to $100,000. It might start the journey, but it can't finish it. To reach that point, you need structure, not emotion. You need a system that moves automatically, even when you don't feel like it. Automatic transfers, scheduled investments, habits that operate quietly in the background. Because consistency isn't built on excitement, it's built on design. And when your financial life runs on systems instead of moods, your progress stops depending on how you feel, and starts depending on how you've built it. That's why the first 100,000 isn't about willpower. It's about replacing emotional energy with mechanical discipline. Once you do that, motivation becomes optional, but progress becomes inevitable. As income rises, spending rises even faster. It's one of the oldest patterns in human behavior, and the most expensive. You tell yourself you'll save more once you start earning more. But when that moment finally comes, you don't. Because the new money doesn't feel like growth. It feels like permission. You upgrade your clothes, your phone, your car, your apartment. You justify every purchase because you've earned it. And for a while, it feels good. You look successful. You feel like you're moving forward. But behind that illusion, something dangerous is happening. Your lifestyle expands to match your paycheck, and the small gap that once existed between what you earn and what you spend quietly disappears. That gap, the margin, is the seed of every future dollar you'll ever have. It's where freedom begins. Shrink that space, and you starve your future before it even starts. This is lifestyle inflation, the silent killer of wealth. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens one small upgrade at a time. A dinner here, a subscription there, a slightly nicer version of the thing you already own. Soon, you're trapped. Not because you don't make enough, but because you've built a life that costs too much to maintain. And once your expenses rise, your freedom falls. The truth is, most people don't fail to save because their income is too low. They fail because they upgrade too early. They mistake comfort for progress and confuse visibility with success. But every luxury you add pushes real freedom further away. Every upgrade you buy delays the only upgrade that truly matters: independence. Because real wealth isn't about looking rich. It's about having the space to breathe, to choose, and to stop working out of fear. And that kind of wealth only grows when your lifestyle stays slightly behind your income, never ahead of it. Most people want to build wealth fast. They scroll through stories of overnight success, crypto millionaires, and real estate empires built in a few years, and they feel behind. They start believing that if it's not happening quickly, it's not happening at all. So they rush, they take shortcuts, they jump into risky trades, new trends, and untested schemes. They chase excitement instead of progress. But skipping the boring part is exactly what guarantees failure. Wealth doesn't grow like a lottery ticket. It grows like a tree. You plant the seed, you water it, and for a long time it looks like nothing is happening. There's no applause, no validation, just quiet effort and patience. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. And those roots are the foundation that allows everything else to grow later. The first stage of building wealth feels invisible. You're saving, investing, learning, but the numbers barely move. That's the test. That's the part that filters out almost everyone. Because most people give up right before compounding begins. They mistake slow progress for failure, when in reality that slow growth is the system taking shape. It's like watching grass grow, until suddenly, one day, it's everywhere. The truth is, impatience is the most expensive habit you can have. It makes you abandon good strategies for fast ones, solid systems for shortcuts. But nothing compounds faster than patience. Once your first 10,000 starts growing, the math begins to shift. Momentum quietly builds, and the progress you once had to fight for begins to happen on its own. You just have to survive the silent years, the part where it feels like nothing's working, because that's the part where everything actually starts. Nothing kills motivation faster than comparison. You save $500 and someone your age posts a new car. You reach 20,000 and someone online just crossed 1,000,000. Suddenly, what once felt like progress now feels like failure. But here's the truth. You're not comparing wealth. You're comparing timelines. Everyone starts from a different place. Different families, careers, debts, opportunities. Comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel is like judging a book by someone else's last chapter. The danger of comparison is subtle, but deadly. It replaces gratitude with shame. Instead of celebrating what you've built, you start questioning whether it's enough. And that shift drains your energy faster than any expense. You lose focus, you lose patience, and slowly you stop showing up. Wealth isn't built in competition. It's built in solitude, in the quiet, consistent days when no one's watching. The growth happens in silence, behind closed doors, without applause. It's when you choose to keep saving, keep investing, and keep learning, even when the world isn't clapping. The irony is, once compounding finally kicks in, the people you used to compare yourself to will look at you and wonder how you did it so fast. They won't see the silent years, the discipline, or the small invisible choices that made it possible. They'll just see the result. So stop measuring your progress with someone else's ruler, because the moment you stop comparing, you reclaim your peace. And peace is the one thing no amount of money can buy, but the right mindset can create. Most people think their biggest expenses are rent, taxes, or groceries. They're wrong. Their biggest expense is emotion. Every impulse purchase, every "I deserve this" moment, every night of scrolling through online stores, it all adds up. We don't spend for function. We spend for feeling. Money becomes a mirror for our emotions, reflecting stress, boredom, loneliness, and insecurity. And every time we buy to feel better, we trade our future peace for temporary relief. You can't fix emotional spending with a spreadsheet. You can't budget your way out of an identity problem. Because most of the time, you're not buying things. You're buying comfort. A moment of escape. A sense of control. Something to fill the silence when life feels stuck. But those emotional leaks are deadly to long-term wealth. They don't seem big. A coffee here, a new gadget there. But they quietly drain the capital that could have changed your life. And the danger is, they hide behind logic. We tell ourselves it's just a treat, or that we earned it. But small leaks sink big ships. You don't plug these leaks by cutting everything you enjoy. You plug them by understanding why you spend. Ask yourself, what emotion am I trying to buy my way out of? Once you see the pattern, you regain control, not by restriction, but by awareness. Because wealth isn't built through punishment or guilt, it's built through clarity. When you stop using money to regulate emotion, you finally start using it to build freedom. And the moment you stop letting your feelings control your finances start healing your feelings. Most people rely on willpower to save. They promise themselves they'll be disciplined, avoid temptation, and make better choices next month. But willpower is fragile. It fails under stress, fatigue, or emotion. And when it breaks, so does your consistency. That's why the wealthy think differently. They know discipline is overrated. Systems are what win. A system doesn't depend on how you feel today. It doesn't need motivation, excitement, or focus. It just runs. Automatic transfers right after payday. Automatic investments into index funds. Automatic bill payments that eliminate friction. Each of these removes one more chance to make an emotional decision. Because every time you rely on choice, you give your feelings a vote. And feelings are terrible financial advisors. They want comfort now, not freedom later. When you build a system, you replace emotional decisions with mechanical actions. You remove hesitation and delay. You stop asking, should I invest this month, because it's already happening in the background. A system doesn't get tired. It doesn't panic when the market dips. It doesn't forget when life gets busy. It's boring, repetitive, and unshakably consistent, which is exactly why it works. That's the quiet difference between those who make it to 100,000 and those who never do. The ones who reach it don't just have better habits. They've built systems that protect those habits from failure. And once your financial life runs on rails instead of emotion, success stops being optional. It becomes automatic. Before you can have $100,000, you have to think like someone who does. That means seeing money as a tool, not a trophy. Most people stay broke because they see money as something to spend, not something to deploy. They treat it like a reward instead of a resource. They ask, can I afford this? The wealthy ask, will this make me freer? It's a simple shift, but it changes everything. Because when you start seeing every dollar as an employee, not a decoration, you begin managing your money like a business, not a hobby. This is the point where your mindset starts evolving. You stop chasing upgrades and start chasing options. You stop trying to impress people and start trying to outlast them. You stop buying more things and start buying more time. The first 100,000 isn't just a financial goal, it's a transformation of identity. It's when you stop identifying as someone who's trying to save and start becoming someone who builds systems that create wealth on autopilot. You begin to feel different about money, calmer, clearer, less reactive. You no longer need every purchase to validate your effort. You value silence over signals, patience over performance, freedom over flash. And once you become that person internally, the external numbers start reflecting it naturally. Because by the time you reach 100,000, you realize the math was never the hard part. The mindset was. And the person you became along the way is worth more than the money itself. So why do most people never reach $100,000? It's not because they don't earn enough or because the system is rigged against them. It's because they quit in the quiet part. The quiet part is the stretch where nothing seems to work, where your progress feels invisible and your effort feels wasted. It's the long, silent phase between discipline and reward, and that silence drives people insane. Because in a world obsessed with instant feedback, waiting feels like failure. But the truth is, silence is where wealth is born. It's in the months when no one notices, the moments when your balance barely moves. That's when compounding is quietly taking shape. That's when your habits are wiring themselves into permanence. The system isn't broken, it's just slow. And that slowness is intentional. It filters out everyone who doesn't have the patience to stay. It rewards those who can endure boredom, who can plant seeds and let them grow without digging them up every week to check. You don't need brilliance. You don't need luck. You just need endurance. Because the people who finally cross that first 100,000 mark aren't the ones who found the secret shortcut. They're the ones who refused to stop when it got quiet. They kept saving when it felt pointless. They kept investing when the numbers barely moved. They trusted the system long enough for it to start trusting them back. And once that compounding finally awakens, everything changes. Momentum takes over, and the journey that once felt impossible suddenly feels inevitable. That's the real reason few ever get there. Not because it's too hard, but because most people stop right before it starts working. The first 100,000 changes everything, not just your bank balance, but your perspective. It's proof that the system works as long as you do. If this video helped you see money differently, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps this channel reach more people who are quietly learning how the system really works. Because wealth isn't built by luck or talent. It's built by patience, awareness, and the small daily choices that no one else sees. Every dollar you save is a silent worker that never clocks out. And every habit you repeat is a brick in the foundation of your freedom. And if you've made it this far, comment focus. See you in the next video.